showed fires burning, people trapped in high-rise buildings. Although other pictures suggested most buildings had stood up to the earthquake, as they're designed to, others had collapsed, and it's impossible to imagine the number of dead from this won't be substantial.
Also established a special office to look into the damage to banks and other financial institutions.
Geological experts have warned that while the tsunami roared west towards Japan, it's also likely to have moved north, and that means the southeastern tip of Russia near Vladivostok. There are warnings for other countries as well, as diverse as Taiwan and Hawaii. Lawrence Lee, Al Jazeera.
Okay, we're bringing you breaking news coverage here of the earthquake in Japan, an 8.8 magnitude earthquake striking the east coast of Japan. We're looking at live pictures coming to us from Japanese television. Dramatic pictures showing a tsunami. We're not sure of the height of the tsunami right now, but it's going up the east coast of Honshu Island in Japan. This is around the area of Miyagi, which is on the east coast. There have been warnings from the Tsunami Warning Center that the magnitude 8.8 earthquake could generate a tsunami of up to 20 meters in height. There was a tsunami of a meter in height which hit the east coast. We're looking at these pictures coming to us from Japanese television showing us a wave of water sweeping on land, sweeping everything in sight there. It's washed away cars and torn away at buildings right along there, along the coastline. Our correspondent, Harry Fawcett, is in Kuala Lumpur. He's been monitoring developments there. Harry, what's the latest you have there from the...
Well, it seems, as you can see on air on these incredible pictures, the tsunami is making its way ever further south down the coast of Honshu towards Tokyo. Even in the last few minutes, we've had a report from the Agence France Presse agency that the parking lot at the Tokyo Disneyland has been swamped by water. That's the first report I've seen, at least, of the tsunami arriving in a part of Tokyo. The Disneyland complex is just outside Tokyo to the east, nearer the coast than the main urban area of Tokyo. But nonetheless, that is the first report that we've had of the tsunami getting as far as Tokyo. In terms of the casualties, as Lawrence said in his report, it's difficult to imagine that they won't be substantial, but we haven't had any firm numbers yet. We have heard of injuries at a graduation ceremony, for example, in Tokyo, when the roof caved in at that ceremony. That's according to the Tokyo Fire Department. No numbers there yet. Reports of numerous injuries in Miyagi Prefecture. That's the Kyodo news agency reporting that via their sources in the police in Miyagi Prefecture. Miyagi is the closest Japanese prefecture to the epicenter of the earthquake. We understand it was about 120 kilometers off the coast, and the first waves of water came ashore on Miyagi. It's unclear exactly where these live pictures are coming from, but if you can imagine this replicated all up and down that enormous eastern coast of Honshu, the damage and the loss of life, we can only assume, will be substantial.
Harry, as we know, this earthquake, the epicenter was about 125 kilometers off the Japanese coast. Now, let's try and put this into some kind of perspective. That east coast, which would have received the brunt of the earthquake, Japan is a very densely populated country. Are we talking about, along this coastline, are we talking about an area that is very densely populated?
Well, not as densely populated as the major urban centres such as Tokyo. Tokyo is one of, if not the biggest city in the world. 30 million people about live in Tokyo. But there is the main city of Miyagi, Sendai, has well over 1 million people inside its own urban borders, and all up and down the eastern coast of Japan, all around the coast, there are fishing villages and small towns and cities dotted as far as you can go. I've visited some of them, and every little harbour will have another small fishing port or a village or some sort of human life, and so you can only expect that this tsunami, although people were warned to get out, you can only expect that people will have been caught up in the sheer scale of it.
Now, in the past hour and a bit that we've been talking, Harry, this earthquake has been upgraded from a 7.9, that's what we were initially told was the size of the earthquake. It's been upgraded to an 8.8 in magnitude. And as these measurements are done, they're done exponentially. They're not done along a linear scale, along a sliding scale. So this would be a very big earthquake.
Certainly it is an enormous earthquake. It's bigger even than the Kobe earthquake of 1995, which killed about 5,500 people. That was a magnitude 6.9, so a great deal smaller than the one that we're witnessing here. It has to be said that epicenter of the Kobe earthquake in 95 was really right on the shore of Japan, and so its effects were felt more strongly in urban areas. But I think the fact that this is such a larger earthquake and that already we're seeing the kind of extraordinary damage being done by this tsunami, it must be in the same scale of a major disaster to have hit Japan.
Okay, stay with us, Harry, just to bring our viewers up to date. This is an earthquake that struck off the coast of Japan, 8.8 in magnitude, struck off the northeast coast of the island of Honshu, which is one of the large islands in the center of Japan, Japan being a string of islands. The quake has prompted tsunami warnings. In some areas, the water levels could rise up to 6 meters, according to the Tsunami Warning Center, which is based in Hawaii. That's the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Now, joining us on the line is Brian Shiro, the geophysicist at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, which we've been talking about. Brian, what is the latest you have on the kind of tsunami that could strike that rim of countries around the Pacific?
Well, the tsunami from this earthquake, which has been revised upward to magnitude 8.9 now by the USGS, is certainly going to be damaging for the area around Japan. The tsunami warning is in effect for Japan and Russia, as well as the Mariana Islands, including Guam and Wake and Taiwan. The watch is spread out more along the other Western Pacific and Central Pacific nations. But we've already seen a sizable tsunami on the gauges that are reporting from the region. We measured one at 3 meters, for example, before the gauge stopped transmitting, which might mean the gauge was taken out by the tsunami. That happens sometimes. Our deep ocean sensor called the DART buoy detected a 1 meter tsunami, which is very high for such a reading away from the coastline. So this is a sizable tsunami. We are monitoring very closely, and the models show that the tsunami certainly will get out into the wider Pacific Ocean, and it remains to be seen how the amplitude will decay as it spreads.
But as you say, the magnitude of the earthquake has now been raised even further to 8.9.
That's right, according to the USGS.
Okay, give us an idea of what kind of tsunami, the size of the kind of tsunami that an earthquake of this magnitude could generate.
Well, as you indicated before, we could see size up to maybe around 6 meters in the area of Japan. And luckily, Japan has a really sophisticated tsunami warning system. They have, for example, gates that close off the rivers and canals that lead into the water that helps prevent the tsunami from traveling inland. They have tsunami sirens and tsunami crawlers that go on their TV. So I think the citizenry of Japan is going to be fairly well prepared for this. The bigger worry, perhaps, for the tsunami itself would be the smaller nations around the Western Pacific. Some of them may not be as well prepared as Japan is for a tsunami. And, of course, we're watching very closely. Being in Hawaii where we are, we're very concerned with Hawaii, too. So we'll be monitoring the situation closely. You know, Hawaii is in a watch right now, not in a warning.
Okay, when you say prepared, what kind of preparations can the population make when they've got a 6-meter wave coming down on them?
Well, for example, if someone's in Japan, they don't have much time because the earthquake and tsunami happened very close to them. So all you need to do is just get away from the water. And so I'm sure that's what they've been doing. So evacuate the area close to the water. And
okay, Brian, just stay with us for a moment there. We're looking at some live pictures now of a huge wave which is moving along the surface of the sea towards land. This wave, of course, generated by that earthquake, that 8.9 magnitude earthquake off the east coast of Japan. There's that wave moving across towards land, and we have Brian Shearer with us from the Tsunami Warning Center. So, Brian, we are seeing a wave right now moving towards land. You were telling us about the preparations that a population can make in the face of this water barreling down.
Certainly. The best preparation is to have a plan ahead of time and to know where you're going to go in the event of a tsunami, and to know where the evacuation zones are and where the areas are where you're going to aggregate and collect and find your friends and loved ones. And so, like I said, Japan has a very good system like this. Hawaii does as well. Not every country does, though. So, you know, people are going to follow the best plans they can. But the general rule of thumb is if a tsunami happening close to you and it's going to be arriving soon, then get away from the water.
Well, we know that Japan is in a very seismically active area. It lies along a fault line along the Pacific Rim, which is very active with earthquakes. So when people are warned that a tsunami is coming down, barreling down on them, they will be asked to move to higher ground, presumably.
Yes, precisely.
And
I should add to that too. If you're in an area with strong buildings like high-rises, hotels, condominiums, anything made of reinforced concrete, it's perfectly fine just to go upstairs in the building. The rule that we use here in Hawaii is the third floor or higher, and in that case, you should be safe.
Now, we know that this earthquake has come almost 48 hours after another earthquake struck that very same area in Japan, that one measuring around 7.8. That was on Wednesday, earlier this week. So we could expect in the next few days more aftershocks.
It's possible, yes. Earthquakes tend to happen along the same fault system, related to each other, and it can be foreshocks or aftershocks and along the same sequence. Typically, aftershocks are not as large as the main shock, so we would not necessarily expect the aftershocks to be as big as this. But the problem is with an earthquake this large, the earthquake damage itself has certainly caused a lot of problems, and so even a relatively small aftershock could topple buildings, for example, so it is a big hazard.
And when we're actually talking about the tsunami, this is a vast area of water that we're talking about, the Pacific Ocean. Will the water level decline and get lower as further away from the epicenter of the earthquake?
Well, the tsunami is a series of waves, so it's a number of waves that happen in succession over several hours' time. And a wave, as I'm sure you know, it consists of a trough and a crest, so a low point and a high point. And so depending on where you are in relation to the wave, the high point, the crest may reach you, or the low point, the trough may reach you. And either way, you'll see either a rise or a fall in sea level. And if you're so lucky to have the trough come first, that's the recession of the sea, that's your natural warning sign that something unusual is happening. It's probably a tsunami.
Because I'm looking at the countries that could potentially be affected by the tsunami. It goes all the way up to Russia, Guam, Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, as well as Hawaii itself. So that warning would be for all these countries.
Currently, the warning is just restricted to the northwestern Pacific countries, including Japan and Russia and the Mariana area and Taiwan. The watch includes the other areas that you indicated, including Hawaii. We define a warning as the area within 3 hours travel time, tsunami travel time, and a watch the area within 6 hours travel time. But it could expand.
Yeah, and what we're looking at right now are the waves just hitting the east coast of Japan so far.
Yes, that's right, so far.
Okay. What direction could that take?
Well, the tsunami energy, when it's imparted into the ocean, takes a really directional path. And so in this case, the direction the energy is going to propagate primarily is toward the northwest and toward the southeast, roughly. So that's directly impacting Japan's coast and then directly going out into the central Pacific, in the direction of Hawaii.
If we could put this into some kind of perspective on recent earthquakes that have hit that area of the world, we had the earthquake and the tsunami, the Asian tsunami, which hit several years back. How big is this compared to that?
Well, that was a magnitude, depending on whom you believe researchers your favorite, around a magnitude 9.3 or so, and certainly much larger, probably around 500 to 1,000 times larger in energy. So we're dealing with a much different animal here with this tsunami. An 8.9 is very big, but it's nothing compared to something in the mid-9 range, which is much, much larger.
Okay, sir. Thanks for joining us. Let's go now to our correspondent, Harry Fawcett. He's in Kuala Lumpur, monitoring the latest from there. Harry?
Well, as you're seeing, those pictures just coming in from the east coast of Japan.